Hi, my name is Ricky Westbrook. I am the Director of Paid Search here at Fair Marketing, and this is Cameron Finno. He is our lead account manager here, and just special thanks to the Sales Growth Hub for having us. And today we're going to talk about ways to increase your leads and nurture them through the new year. Now, when we started deciding on what we wanted to talk about, and we knew we wanted to talk, obviously about lead nurturing and things like that. We wanted to really stay away from just the PPC 101 stuff like increasing click-through rates and increasing quality scores. That's there's 1,000 PPC webinars out there that talk about the same things. So we really wanted to focus on more advanced strategies that people can really take home and that can really increase conversions, especially going into 2015. And that way you can start with a clean slate and really grow from there. So now, obviously, there's tons of different platforms people advertise on. The two monsters out there are Google and Facebook. They are out there battling for your marketing dollars as we speak right now. And I mean, they probably control a good 96% of the online advertising. So just with that, today we're mostly going to focus on Google and a little bit of Facebook. But obviously, a lot of these same practices can be brought over to Bing and Yahoo and AOL and LinkedIn and other platforms like that. So before we get started with the campaign, you really got to decide what type of client you have on your hands, or what kind of campaign you want to run. And so there's really three different types. The most common one is going to be the client that's focused on sales and direct response. And so they're going to be the ones that are going to be constantly wanting sales and need to see that ROI. Other type of clients, some clients are just interested in just seeing traffic. That's for like more of a brand new campaign. That wants to focus on just bringing new eyeballs to the site, and then as you grow, then turn it into a more direct response campaign. And lastly, there are certain campaigns that just want to focus on branding. These are mainly your bigger types of brands with big budgets, your Coca-Cola and things like that. They really want to focus on getting their logo and their slogan out there to the point where maybe someday they'll walk into a storefront somewhere and buy that product. But there really is no direct tie to the advertising you would do online to that to that later sale. And so now we want to get into more about the conversion tracking and the different areas that you can set up conversions. Obviously, you'll hear the word SERP conversions quite a bit. SERP stands for Search Engine Result Page, and that's the page when you Google something, you're on the Search Engine Result Page, and from there you go to a landing page. We'll talk about call extensions and location extensions, and several different types of call tracking platforms. So for starters, you really need to determine which types of conversions you want to set up for a campaign. Here we've identified what are probably the biggest 8 for your campaign, and you really got to find out which ones are going to be right for you for what type of campaign. Almost any campaign is going to have some kind of form submission, and you're going to want to track some kind of calls. Those are really the bread and butter. Almost any, whether you're going for anything, branding or traffic or anything, you really, forms or conversions or forms or calls are going to be, if you're going to do any kind of conversion tracking, those are going to be your main two. From there, it really depends. If you're a service industry, a map click out might be a good conversion point, because if somebody looks at a map and clicks directions on how to get to your store, and if you have a retail front, there's a very good chance that they might become foot traffic later that day or the next day. So for a lot of service-based clients that have a brick and mortar store, we'll count those for our clients sometimes. Some clients put a lot into social responses and engagement on social media. Some don't. So it really depends on what you want to really count as a conversion or what your clients do. And so you really just need to make that call and set out to do what's best for the campaign.
I also want to add that the form submission can kind of go along with an e-commerce platform. If you're an e-commerce site or an e-commerce campaign, the form submission ultimately it's the end result. It's the thank you page or the order confirmation page. So those kind of go hand in hand with each other.
Absolutely.
As far as some interesting and kind of up and coming conversion capture pages or conversion capture points that you can start using now, Google's given us a lot of new and interesting ideas, interesting avenues for us to track these conversions. They include the call extension, AdWords call extension, very powerful, especially if you really depend on the phone calls that come into your office. These are available on both desktop devices as well as mobile pages. You can see an example here on this search result page where you'll have an ad, then the click to call button. This is an immediate action into your office, into your building, building to have someone in contact with you, an immediate conversion result. Same here, we also have a call extension happening on the Google search result page on a desktop device. It's a trackable 800 number. These are dummy numbers that transfer directly to your business, and all this information is captured and then put into the AdWords system for you to make really good logical decisions on what keywords to add to a campaign or bid more aggressively on, but also keywords that you should be possibly tuning back on or removing from the campaign. Some other extensions, and I should mention that this is available all from the AdWords platform from their extensions tab. The site link extension, very powerful to give your users and give your customers the ability to get to a page that's more relevant to them than what the ad may have initially had decided upon. So if this was sending you to just a general urgent care page, but they're more interested in maybe something about your location, what insurance you take, or what insurance your urgent care can take, this gives them immediate action to get to that better conversion page where they can it's going to be a more relevant page to what they need at that time. And then also is the location extension. Especially for an urgent care, that's going to be highly dependent on walk-ins, people who are going to be wanting to go to the brick and mortar location itself. This is going to give them immediately action to the maps page itself to where they can find out where you're located, how close it is to them, and then make their decision on walking into your store.
Yeah. So basically the idea behind SERP conversion capture is to get a conversion point on the screen as fast as possible. The more clicks that a user has to go through, the least likely they are to convert. So if we can show them this before they even hit your landing page, all the better. If we could get a conversion point up there sooner, we would, but unfortunately that's as soon as we can get it up.
The next step is, okay, so someone didn't decide to convert straight from the search result page. Not going to happen every time. It's not going to happen most of the time. You still got to do the best you can to track when a paid click happens, they get to your landing page, and you still want to be able to track that user and if they called. You want to have as much details about how they came onto your site, whether it was from Google, Facebook, or if it was from a specific keyword. A lot of this information is available to us using various call tracking providers. So what you want to, once they land on your page, after clicking an ad, you want to have a dynamic number inserted onto the page. This dynamic number is just a dummy number. It forwards directly to your business's line, your main line. But in that middle step, there's going to be the ability to track that phone call. It rings straight to your business, and then all the information that you could possibly want is going to be captured along with that, including what campaign or keyword it came from, the call duration. All this information is tracked really well. There's a couple of different methods you can do to bring this information to your campaign. First is going to be just using a third-party call tracking service. There's many out there: Keymetric, Who's Calling, Mongoose Metric is one. But also something new that's Google's rolling out. It's kind of an extension of their call extension. It's going to be the ability to have a call tracking service on your landing pages as well. It's a very new conversion point that's just been out for maybe 2 or 3 months. But we're already seeing some awesome success on a lot of our campaigns that are using it. Works very similarly to your third-party systems, but it's free. AdWords gives it to us for free. And the beauty of using their system over some third-party providers is the information's all it's all tied right back to your AdWords campaign. You don't have to go hunting through 2 different accounts, your lead or your call tracking provider and Google. It's all going to be contained inside AdWords. So it's a beautiful system to implement.
Yeah, so now we want to talk about keyword and text ad optimization. So we're going to get into some strategies on different areas amongst keywords and text that we can go out and get more conversions. We'll talk about keyword expansions and some tools there. We'll dive into some raw query reports and some strategies on negative and branded keywords, and some A/B testing on text ads. So for starters, I would say after adding additional conversion points, like we talked about earlier with the map clickouts or social responses, if you've added all you can there as far as adding everything you want to count as a conversion, I would say the next best thing you could do, the next step you should really do, is expand your keywords. Now, obviously, I'm not saying go and add 10,000 keywords to your campaign. Obviously, we need to keep it as relevant as possible, but there are different ways and so many tools out there that can go out and find relative keywords that are going to bring in conversions to your campaign. The first place I would start is right within AdWords under Tools, and it's the Keyword Tool Planner. You can come in here and search keyword ideas. You can do ad group ideas. Like here, we're looking for lumber in Houston as the product, and we've got some other ones here, and you can add them directly to the campaign without even having to go back and add it into a keyword or ad group. So it's and it shows the monthly searches and the suggested bid and how much competition. So you can really see just from all this data right here whether or not it's a relevant keyword and if it's really worth your while to go after.
It's also important to note a couple of the different targeting options you can do on the left. Most importantly is the ability to select what city or state or country you want your information that populates here to be based on. So for example, in this one, it's Houston only. We only want keywords and information on these keywords from the Houston area. So it's really important if you're a local business to make sure you're using those targeting options as much as possible to get the best keywords possible.
That's a newer feature late from not even several months ago. They did that, so it really does work better for service and local-based businesses, because what does a lumber yard in Houston really care about the search volume in Miami? It doesn't. And so in the past we were taking those things into consideration, but now with the improved targeting, you can actually zone in on just the areas you want. So if you've exhausted the keyword planner tool, the next step we would suggest going forward to find new keywords is right within Google as well, and it's completely free, and it's the autocomplete suggestions. Now, I know we've all seen this before. You start typing something, and before you even have a chance to finish typing it, Google's already throwing out suggestions of what you're typing, and you might think Google's just really smart and they're doing all that, but they're populating these autocompletes based on data that other people are searching for. So when people type in lumber in your area, these are the queries that they're most likely typing in. And so this is a very, very neat tool to just come in and type in your main keyword and then see what else populates. And so we found some hidden gems several times from the autocomplete of things we didn't even think of or things that weren't popping up in the keyword planner, but obviously people are searching for because Google is throwing it in the autocompletes. And after that, we would suggest there's several third-party keyword tools. WordStream is a great one. They've got a lot of other great products as well. And Ubersuggest. So those are different ways you can go and expand your keyword, but obviously keeping the relevancy intact. And another great tip we like to do is you can use tools like Espionage and SpyFu that allow you to actually go and look and see what keywords your competitors are bidding on, which is obviously, a great step up, and you can really compete there and go head-to-head with them.
Yep, absolutely. And then the next, another step you can kind of diving in farther into your campaign is going to be a raw query report. This is all very easily accessible from the AdWords interface. It's going to be under the Keywords tab, and then you can either select specific ad groups or campaigns or the entire account if you wish. Once you're on the Keywords tab, though, the drop down underneath details all. And this is going to give you the information and insight as to the exact phrases that your users and your customers are actually searching. Not what you're showing for or what you're bidding on, but the actual keywords they're searching for and where your ad is showing. So a great example is going to be, in this particular example, Rolex Houston. If we're bidding on the term Rolex Houston in a phrase match, you have of course, if you're bidding in it in a phrase match, used can be in front of that. You've got to decide whether or not this is in fact your ad is in fact showing, and you're potentially getting clicks on this particular keyword when it's searched, and you've got to decide if used is a part of your business. If you sell used Rolexes, if you don't, you need to make adjustments to the campaign and to the ad group and the keywords you're bidding on to ensure you're not wasting ad money and ad spend on this particular keyword. After you pull this report, though, this will also include all sorts of statistics as to the actual search volume you're getting from these keywords, and then you can make great decisions based on actual information as to what your users are searching for. And then as you're looking through all this information, like I mentioned, used, you got to decide if used is a part of your business. And from the exact same point from here, you can not only click a couple of these particular keywords and add as a keyword and start bidding on those directly, which will help the health of your campaign, but you can also instead click add as a negative keyword. And that brings us to the next part of the of keyword expansion is if you're adding all these keywords, you've got to be careful you're not going to start either overspending or you're not going to start becoming more and more irrelevant. It's great to have more keywords in your AdWords campaign, but you want to make sure they're not too irrelevant. So negative keywords start coming really, really important as you're starting to expand your keyword list to ensure you're not spending money and ad dollars in places you shouldn't be. So as you create, and if in particular in that example previously, if used is not part of your business, if you do not sell used Rolexes, you want to add almost either used Rolex Houston as a negative keyword, or you want to at least add used and if you want to go even farther, you could add used overall. If ever used is in a search query, your ad's never going to show. The outcomes of this, of course, is going to be fewer clicks. You're going to get less traffic, but the higher click-through rates that you're going to get from that is going to benefit your campaign far more. You're also going to have lower costs because of that. You're not going to be bringing in traffic that isn't relevant to your campaign anyhow. And then along with that, as you get higher click-through rates and better, more relevant traffic, your conversion rates are going to be they're going to be benefited from this style.
And so now this is a slide that really gets me excited because it's a pain point and it's a conversation I've had with so many clients in the past. And that is when you're talking about branded keywords. I hear a lot of people say like, well, I'm not going to bid on my own branded term because I dominate the organic space. Like when I Google my brand name, I own all 10 of the search queries, and that's great and it's awesome. But the thing is, paid clicks still bring in more clicks than organics on branded terms. As you can see here, this first column right here is a search query that has a paid campaign on, and the second one is a campaign that has just organic and the paid is off. So as you can see, so the paid this is on average for a normal account. So paid is going to bring in significantly more. You turn it off, and so once you turn it to paid, people's line of thinking is, okay, well now my organic is going to pick up. I'm actually going to get the same amount of clicks, but instead of paid, I'm going to get organic, so I get them free versus paid. That's not always the case. On average, people lose about 85% of their clicks. So as you can see, organic rises marginally, but not near enough to make up all of those paid clicks. And obviously, the goal of any PPC campaign really is conversions and leads. And so with that, we want to obviously still bring those in no matter what, even if they're from paid or from organic, and so they're very much worth paying for.
Yep. And it's also important to note that branded campaigns they're generally extremely cheap. No one can beat you and your branded name. No competitor can beat you or your branded name. Your quality scores are always going to be higher than theirs, so your clicks are going to always be far cheaper. Mm-hmm. So a great way to bring in a lot of traffic. Ensure the traffic is coming to you, because if you're not bidding on your competitor, or on your branded name, your competitor is. Therefore, their ad's going to be above your organic listing, and that's going to absolutely cause your campaign to fail.
Absolutely. And next we want to talk about some what we call bid and budget management tools in the PPC industry. The three biggest ones are Kensho, Marin Software, and Acquisio. And these are essentially PPC tools that offer features that AdWords and Bing and Microsoft Ad Center just don't offer. And they include stuff like an automatic budget expansion tool that can actually inflate and deflate your budget throughout the day based on historically when you've converted. So if the platform that you're using sees that, okay, like we're getting a lot of conversions right now and they've got a $500 budget, they can actually the platform can blow the budget up to $1,000 for like 15 minutes and let more conversions come in, and then when it starts scaling down, they can deflate the budget back. But the key is it's never going to spend any more money than you tell it to. If you have a $1,000 a day budget, it's never going to go over that. It might blow it up for like 10 or 15 minutes, but then it's going to bring it right back down lower than that to kind of help to average out. You can also do cross-platform tracking on all of these, so you can have your Bing accounts, your Facebook accounts, everything all in one place. It helps management a lot. KPI dashboards, this is huge because you can actually set goals for each campaign. So say you had a click goal for the month, and halfway through the month, it'll tell you, through a bar, said, okay, you're 65% through your goal and you're halfway through the month, so you're looking good, you're on pace. Or it might tell you like, oh, you're only at 25% of your goal and it's halfway through the month, so you better pick it up and, really and try to improve clicks. It's got some advanced reporting features and things like that. Mm-hmm. And one thing we found is Kensho and Marin are probably the leaders in the industry. But we've actually used, I have experience with all three, and we actually currently use Acquisio, and we've found that feature-wise they're pretty similar to the big two, but significantly cheaper. So if you were in the market for looking one of those, we would highly recommend Acquisio. And obviously if you're an agency, but if you are just doing your own internal marketing, if you ever were in the market to use an agency, I would highly recommend making that a mandatory feature that your agency is using a tool like this, because it really, at the end of the day, it does the work of 100 PPC managers in a room. Like I couldn't hire 100 people to do the work that the Acquisio does in an hour. I mean, it's just not possible. So there's all kinds of automation and algorithms on the back end that really just improve the campaign.
Mm-hmm. And one more quick point on the budget expansion and on that whole aspect, because the PPC platform. That whole idea is becoming so competitive. It's really important to make as much efficiencies as you can as possible. A great article just published recently, within the past 24, 48 hours actually, on PPC Hero, great blog, you should check it out. It goes into discussion about this and how important it is that some sort of budget tool is in place for your campaign, because you've got to get the most for your dollar. Next up is going to be some A/B testing of ads, the ads themselves. You always want to have several ads in a campaign, every AdWords campaign and every ad group, to give the system and give your users the best ability to find out what ad is best for you. It's not up for you to decide what the best ad is. It's up to the users once they see your ad displayed on a search result page. So always having as many ads as possible is really important to your campaign. That way you can start seeing what click-through rates are for those, what conversion rates are. We really prefer, we would like to go out with the whole game of alchemy when it comes to ads, when we create as many ads as possible, trying all sorts of different strategies, all sorts of different keywords and different points inside of an ad to have and give the user as much ability as possible to see as many different ads throughout their time. If they're doing multiple searches, they'll decide what's going to be the best ad for you. Ultimately, if you were to create 100 different ads, you're going to find the one that is really going to perform so much better than every other ad in your entire campaign. It's going to improve your click-through rates, your quality scores, your conversion rates. Everything's going to improve over this one ad. It's going to take you a lot of time to create those 100 ads, up to 100 ads, but it's well worth it just to sit down for a couple hours a day, every day for a week, if that's what it takes. Come up with as many ads as possible and let Google and your users find out what ad is best for you.
Yeah. It really, I mean, like Cameron said, could be, a lot of people would say that as a waste of time, just writing a bunch of ads. But if you do find that one golden nugget ad, that one ad that's just going to stand up and just overwhelm the campaign, there's other things you wouldn't have to do. So it's kind of an opportunity cost where you wouldn't have to spend so much time on bid management. The ad is just going to take over, and you just let it run and let it do its thing. And so we really think it's time well served.
Yeah. And then also behind here, we'll see the whole experiment, the experiment option and setting inside of AdWords. Tool that's not utilized nearly as much as it can be. This gives you the ability, whether it be new ads, whole budgets, or bids, you can do a lot with this tool. And once you get it enacted, you get to tell AdWords what percent gets the control and what percent gets the experiment. You get to set times, start times, and end times. And while it's running, you're able to make as many changes to the campaign as you can possibly imagine. And at the end of the day, after say 30 days, when the campaign's over, once you have enough data to look at, you're going to be able to say, yes, make all of these changes permanent, or no, revert back to where it was on day 0 before you started implementing all these changes. So it's a really great solution to where you'll have a lot of safeguards in place if you're going to make a lot of really experimental and progressive changes to your campaign, to be able to go back to originality if you need to, or if you want everything to stay in place, say yes, and it goes on from there. On-site optimizations. It's going to be once you have paid for the click and brought that user to your website with your marketing dollar, you really want to make sure that user is going to be happy once they get there. This can be accomplished through landing pages and A/B testing of those landing pages, usability analysis, and ensuring load times are low and are user-friendly to an individual. So that'll first bring us to the usability analysis and research of a landing page. What happens here, there's going to be heat mapping that you can have taken care of in A/B testing. There's a lot of tools and a lot of programs in place out there. One that we've used is Site Tuners and had some pretty good success with. They can be moderately expensive, but they can be well worth it in the life of the campaign. What these people are going to do, they're going to go to your website or your landing page. They're going to review every aspect of your landing page possible. It's incredible the amount of information you're going to get back about, hey, this headline needs to be moved to the left. Hey, this phone number needs to be made bigger or smaller. Hey, this person who's maybe a stock photo of an individual looking that way needs to be looking that way. It's incredible the amount of information they're going to come back to you with and tell you, make these minor changes or make these large changes. Your campaign and your landing page and experience is going to be far, far better.
Yeah, every time we've ever run an analysis like this, we've always seen some type of increase in conversion rate. And it's crazy because you would think that changing a a box from yellow to orange, that's not going to really make a big conversion. I mean, you're probably talking about 0.5% of conversion rate. But if you do 10 to 12 little things that increase it just a little bit, now we're talking about increasing conversions 5 to 10%. Now we're talking like it's being worth the game and it's worth the money to bring in an analysis like this. And of course, the best part is, if you do a couple of these analyses, and then you can use that data and apply it to other campaigns, and really, so you really become a conversion rate optimization specialist in your own right eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
there's a question
Sure.
here,
Yes.
and the actual question is the experiment option for text ads only or display too? And I guess I could expand that question to say, like, is everything you're talking about here for both text and display ads?
A lot of it would be for both. On the experiment side, I've only messed with and used it on the search side of
It's still in
campaigns.
beta,
But yeah, so they're rolling that out to more and more portions of the campaign. I need to double check to see if that is in fact available on the display side.
Yeah.
But search, it's a great tool for search, that's for sure. So yeah, that brings us up to the landing page split testing. So once you have a site tuner, for example, the previous slide had mentions of site tuner, and having someone who's excels at that, checking out your website, taking their changes, making and applying them to the web page, and then go from there. So first things you want to do is start with pretty large changes and try different things even based after what the specialist may have told you. Or even if you're not able to afford a specialist cabinet, this is a great tool to still use. You want to make large changes to the campaign, moving sidebars, moving content areas, changing headers, making large changes. All this comes at a very low cost with great tools in place. The two that we've used are Optimizely and Visual Website Optimizer. These tools are awesome because they're very user-friendly for you. You don't have to be a programmer to have to make these changes. Everything is just it's a WYSIWYG editor. You can drag things, just blow up images, make things smaller, change font styles and sizes. This program is going to automatically send the traffic to one of the two pages at your percent that you define at the beginning of the experiment. And then at the end of time, you're going to have data to be able to look at, see how often each version loaded, how many conversion results, what was the results from those pages, conversion rates, time on page, how was their experience, did they enjoy being at this page versus that page. You put all this information together, you're going to have a clear winner to move forward with. And that kind of brings us, of these two tools that we've both experimented with and used, Visual Website Optimizer, VWO, it is the cheaper of the options. They have very similar feature sets, but definitely recommend VWO as a landing page split testing.
It's significantly cheaper, but Optimizely is the big name in the game.
Yep. And once you have decided as to what is your clear winner from that previous slide, now you're going to take that winner and make smaller changes to it and find out and even fine tune it a little bit more. So now you're going to make smaller changes, maybe just a little flip rather than large content changes or adding or removing major portions of the page. Now you're just going to maybe make small changes to the landing page, maybe flip things, maybe just change color styles at this point. You're going to make smaller and smaller changes, and you're going to continue doing this. You're going to find out what is your clear winner once again. Say it's the second one. Now what you're going to do is take this one, place it in position of point A, and do the exact same thing again. You never stop this because eventually you're going to find a better and better and better winner. Say it continues to be this option here. You're going to continue testing it against other variations. Over time, you're going to still find a better result.
Absolutely.
And then one of the last slides as far as the usability of the site, effects of load time. I certainly can't tell you how often I go to a website, whether it be from an organic click or a paid click. If I get to a page and it's taking time to load, even with a good internet connection, I'm not happy, I'm leaving and I'm going back. But guess what? You still paid for that click. So some examples are going to be Walmart.com found that when load times jumped from 1 second to 4 seconds, conversion rates absolutely got affected massively by it. It's just by users not even going to the page. They're already unhappy about the landing page that they're going to. They're not even going to even pay attention if they don't click back before that page even loads. Firefox reduced average load time by 2.2 seconds and increased downloads by 15.4%. So big changes to your load time alone can really affect the campaign and the success of the campaign. And a variety of things can change and affect what load time is going to be for your page. Whether if it's a slow load time, it may be very image heavy and you need to make some changes and adjustments to that, or put some lower resolution images if need be. Another change would be you need to talk to your hosting provider. That's also a big ticket item. If it's a poor hosting provider and that's what's causing the issues, that's absolutely going to affect your campaign.
Yeah, and load time is something that people who do SEO campaigns, it's no stranger to them that obviously load time is a very big aspect of where you're going to rank, and Google takes that into effect when they determine their rankings. But what people don't realize is how important it really is to PPC, because it still matters, and like Cameron said, you're still going to be paying for those clicks. So if you don't have one now, a good tip is to create a Google Webmaster Tools account. That way you can see everything for your organic and your paid search, your load time, and really monitor that. And then, if there are issues with it, if it gets to like 3 and 4 seconds, that's when you're really going to start to see sharp declines in your conversion rate. That's when you need to talk to your hosting provider or, look into the actual problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a
Do you guys
slide.
have any,
Yes.
do you guys have any, what tools or vendors would you recommend for landing page creation, Unbounce, Instapage, etc., and why?
Instapages is good. We've used them in the past. Obviously, we usually have internal designers do it, but there's tons of tools out there. What are
Sure.
some other ones
I've used Lead Pages in the past too for landing page creation. And then you can either buy a template from them that's easily optimizable, or changes, you can make quick changes to it. But a lot of our internal our agency in particular, we have a lot of internal programs that'll help us create a customized page from the get-go, just for our clients specifically.
Yeah. But the beauty of it is, if you do find a place, like a place like Lead Pages or things like that, that you can design the page. You can make the changes within the Visual Website Optimizer or Optimizer or the split testing. So I wouldn't sign up for any kind of package that offers them to where you're paying them to go and make changes for those multivariants, because that's going to be very expensive, especially when it's so easy within those tools to go in and make those changes.
Yeah,
yourself.
VWO makes it incredibly simple for a non-programmer to make changes. I don't know anything about coding, but I can make all sorts of changes to a page, and it's instantaneous. It's a very quick edit, and everything goes live instantly. So, great tool.
Right. Now, this is a great series of charts I really like, and it talks about reasons for page and cart abandonment. So what happens when, obviously we all know life gets in the way. You're on a page, you have intent to buy, you're ready to go, and your wife walks in, says something, or something comes up, your phone rings, you get distracted, and you go. As we'll talk later about remarketing, 97% of sessions don't end in a conversion that actually meant to. So you're only talking about 3% are actually converting at the time their first section. So we're talking about reasons for why somebody would abandon a page or a cart if it's e-commerce. The number one reason is lack of human interaction. So they just don't have that warm and cozy feel, and they feel like they might be talking to an outsourced company, or they just don't feel comfortable. High shipping charges, lack of money, wanting to compare shop. Everybody does that. And coupons are a big thing. And so the next slide will actually show you how we can actually reduce page and cart abandonment. Like we're talking about coupons, one of the first things a lot of people do before they buy something, they'll go around searching on Google trying to find coupon codes. So if you can offer certain smaller coupons and promotions on the site, that might keep them from actually leaving the site. And because if obviously they leave the site, it's going to be a better chance they're not going to come back and actually convert. Live chats, that helps with that human interaction element, to the point where if they can actually talk to somebody, you've got a lot better chance to grab that conversion and grab the sale. Free shipping is a big one. That's obviously a big thing that people look for. No hidden charges. Keep it very simple and clean. People don't like to feel like they're getting ripped off. And short checkout services, abandoned cart reminders, and obviously quality images and products.
So I kind of go back on the short checkout service. Frequently what we've seen is if you're an e-commerce platform, an e-commerce site, having the functionality, having the ability for a guest checkout, I find that to be really valuable. A lot of people, if they're frequently people are just going to buy an item from you one time. Giving them the ability to not have to go through that long, lengthy process of becoming a member of your site or creating a login. Enacting some sort of short checkout service through a guest mode option is really valuable. Allows them, and it gives them the ability to quickly convert, buy your product, and then if they don't come back to your site, at least you got them for that one sale. But then we'll kind of touch base on how to, with remarketing, how to bring them back once again.
Absolutely, it's a great segue.
And that brings us up to the next section here, remarketing and nurturing of those prospects, of the people that came to your site. They may have not necessarily reached out to you at this point and asked for more information, but they've been to your site, you've paid for them to get there, and you've already invested that time and money into that click to get them there. Now you want to continue reaching out to them if they didn't convert. And even if they did convert, still pushing similar information or similar products back at them and trying to bring them in as a second purchase. That kind of gives us Google remarketing and Facebook retargeting as two of our main platforms that we use in here to remarket to individuals. Like Ricky had mentioned earlier, 97% of visitors are not going to convert on the first time they land on your landing page. They're going to leave, they're going to go either check out competitors, they're going to go look for a coupon code, they're going to look for a better deal. But if they get to that next source and they're still interested, you want to be able to at least bring them back to your site, remind them that you exist, your product exists, and that they need to come and buy it from you. So that's where remarketing comes in. Google offers a remarketing app or remarketing campaign that's really beneficial to almost any campaign out there. So it's a very simple setup. All you have to do is go into the Audiences tab on the left, and then you'll create a remarketing list. It's a small little code you drop on the site, throw it on a global footer, and you're done. From that point on, Google's going to be able to track users once they get onto your site. They track them, the prospect leaves. Now they're available to insert ads onto other pages of sites that they'll get onto later on down the road and be able to find those users again and again and again. We've all seen it ourselves, whether it be if you're checking for a watch on Amazon, you'll leave the Amazon's page, you then see a remarketing ad, an ad just for the product you were just looking at. So very, very powerful to bring a user back to your page, back to your site, and finish the conversion process.
And a tip that I like to use is a lot of people who do remarketing, they'll just do one set of banners, big logo, your message, and then done, and show that to everybody. I like to create 4 to 5 different versions of remarketing banner ads, different types of styles and colors. That way, everybody's not seeing the same ad over and over for 30 days. And also, like Cameron said, that's where you can create if somebody was on your watch page and you're selling watches, create a banner ad just about watches and show that ad to only the people who were on your watch page. You can do all that through Google Analytics, and
Absolutely.
You see exactly where they were.
Yeah, a very, very good thing to do is, if it's not already, link your AdWords, and assuming you have an analytics account and analytics code on the page, link those up. Super important. It gives you a lot of valuable information about what the user does once they get to your site after a paid click. So really, really valuable information. Definitely take care of that.
Really all your conversion points, all the conversion points we talked about earlier, every single one of those can be set up as Google Analytics goals. And if you set that up, it's a simple conversion code you put on the side. It's no problem at all. And what it really does is, when you go and look at the overall health of your website, it gives you such more in-depth analysis. So you can compare, all your conversion points to certain days of the week, or certain times of the week, or certain parts of the year, Q1 versus Q2. So it gives you just so much more data to work off of.
Yep, absolutely. That brings us to the last portion of retargeting here, and again, this is making sure that the people who have been to your site once and expressed the interest, reinvesting in those users and reinvesting in those people. And the next place you can go to is Facebook retargeting. Google remarketing, they have access to millions of websites, but the one they don't have access to is Facebook.com. At some point in the day, your customer is going to land on Facebook.com, whether it be in the evening, in the morning. Everyone lands on Facebook.com eventually. And this is going to allow you to show your ads on Facebook.com, similar to how remarketing on Google works. So again, a small little code needs to be placed onto onto all pages of the site, preferably. And then you're able to track back to the user, and whether they land, whether on a cooking page, a shoe page, or a sports page of your website, you're able to target them with specific ads about that product and make sure that they're getting the most relevant ad as possible. There's a different method you can do it once you get a campaign created. You've got those right column ads on Facebook.com when you're on the desktop version of the page of the site. Those are great for direct response, because if someone clicks one of those ads, it leads them directly to your landing page. Whereas the news feeds ads, you can do a lot of linking back to your site, but there's also a lot of social interaction related to those ads. So you kind of got to gauge what's your goal and what's going to be the best for your campaign. Decide whether you want to do a right column ad, which is a little more direct response, or do the news feed ads, which are a little more social about it.
Absolutely, yeah. And we really like to consider remarketing and retargeting as really prospect nurturing. And that's what, like, next Craig is going to come up here and talk about lead nurturing. So that really kind of goes hand in hand as far as just really nurturing the prospect from when they're sitting at home and Googling your information all the way to they become a lead until afterwards. And so it's really all about following and just really cradling them and taking care of them all the way through the process.
Yep.
So.
A great tool, I guess I should mention AdRoll. For doing Facebook retargeting, AdRoll is a great application to use for that. There's also the ability to do, I should mention, custom audiences from the Facebook platform itself. So once you have a Facebook account created for advertisements, you can actually take your current customers or any kind of lead generation that you've gotten in the past, all their email addresses, upload that into the Facebook advertising platform, and find those users specifically who have logged in and using that email address as their login email address. You're able to advertise to those users. So even if it's been a year since they bought something, maybe it's a Christmas item or something like that, and you want to find those users who were maybe only around during Christmas time, you can take that Christmas time lead list, load it into Facebook, and advertise specifically to those users.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
well, that wraps up the PPC portion of the presentation. Again, special thanks to Sales Growth Hub for having us.
Yeah.
And we want to, and I also wanted to open it up to anybody. If anybody out there wants a free audit of their campaign, we offer free audits, campaign performances. We'll give you tips and tools on how to do it. Just really sit down and talk it and look at your campaign and see where we can make improvements. So there's contact information at the end of the presentation that will show you. Do we want to open it up to questions?
Sure, Michael. Any additional questions?
There's one that kind of goes back to the beginning, beginning of the presentation. Excuse me. Do advertisers need to secure multiple new phone lines to use AdWords call extensions?
No, absolutely not. No, it's all dynamically inserted on the landing page, and so you can have it ring to your cell phone. You can change it to a landline. There's nothing on the telephony end that you have to do. It's all dynamically it's like Cameron made the phrase a dummy number. I mean, it's literally a toll-free number, or it can be a local number if you have a local presence and you don't want to, if you're a plumbing company, you want to obviously appear that you're local and not a 888 or 1-800 number. So that's dynamically numbered on the side. It doesn't change anything with your current telephone plan.
it will show a separate number on your site after a user gets to the page, so don't be alarmed at that. So it's going to show a different number than you're used to. However, that number directly forwards to your line, and all those numbers are owned, by the whoever the call tracking service provider is, whether it be Google or a third-party tracking provider.
Absolutely.
Okay. There was a question about LinkedIn ads that. Do you guys have any experience with that? It seems like the pricing is more expensive than everything else.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a different audience that you've got to go after. If you're going to use LinkedIn, I would suggest it a little bit more for a B2B type scenario. That's where we see more success with it. So I will say their platform is not nearly as user-friendly as an AdWords, as a Facebook. Their platform's just not quite up to that speed yet. Hopefully they're making some better improvements, but it's a great place to still advertise, because you can get down to very specific people, whether it be if you need to advertise to an accountant about a specific program you're selling, or if it's about you want to find a new agency. If it's an agency you're trying to advertise, you're able to find those specific users, the marketing managers that are senior level versus other levels in the organization. You can find those users. There's a lot of information, a lot of targets you can go after on that platform.
Our rule of thumb is always, basically start with AdWords, and then if you want to get more targeted demographics, go to Facebook. And then if Facebook just isn't right for your current business, like we've had like oil and gas investment firms, their people really aren't on Facebook. That's an older demographic. That's when you would really want to go into LinkedIn and really focus on those CFOs and those big, the big heads of each company, because you can target those directly within the LinkedIn account center.
Okay, that's all I got.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, we're going to turn it over to Craig. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Cameron and Ricky. That was really great. It's amazing to me always how much there is to know about pay-per-click advertising. I've been doing it for 10 plus years, and I still am learning. Still not an expert, and that's why people like Ricky and Cameron at Fair Marketing are so valuable. I encourage everybody to take advantage of that pay-per-click campaign audit that they mentioned. That's free, and you're guaranteed to learn a lot from that experience. Respectful of everyone's time, so let's. I want to kind of fly through my slides here pretty quickly, and then at the end we'll have time for questions, and we can come back and dig into things in detail if you want. But really what I wanted to touch on is 3 areas where what I see, we work with a lot of customers who are doing pay-per-click advertising, other online advertising, and they're not getting the results they need, not necessarily from the campaign itself in terms of conversions or cost per conversion, but in terms of sales. That's the bottom line. And what I hear a lot from customers is we're spending all this money, we're getting leads, but we're not selling enough. And these are the 3 areas where I see a lot of companies kind of dropping the ball. One is response time, especially in a B2B world, but I think also in the B2C world. You may not realize this, but if you're not calling that lead really quick, bad things happen. And I'll touch on that in a little more detail. Nurturing the leads is really important, and I'm going to show you in detail how that pays off in terms of dollars and cents. And then measurement. Cameron and Ricky touched on a lot of different ways that if you measure what's happening in your campaign, then you can optimize it. Well, if you're in a situation, if you're not in an e-commerce business where somebody comes to your site and makes a purchase with their credit card right then and there, if there's a human being involved in that process, then that's where all your measurement typically stops. You don't have any idea. You know they converted and they came to your website, but then somebody got on the phone with them, and you're not able to tie that order or lack of an order back to what did they search and what did that cost me to get them to my site. So that's really important as well. We're going to kind of touch on all of these things in some level of detail. So in terms of response time, all you got to see is this curve right here. This is a study that was done a couple of years ago, but the bottom line is they found that when you fail to contact a new lead within about 5 to 10 minutes, your results almost go to nothing. So it's really counterintuitive, I find, for a lot of our customers, especially in a more traditional B2B world where you're typically used to getting referrals or maybe meeting people at networking events or trade shows. Calling them back a couple days later is fine. But when somebody does a search in Google and they come to your site, they're looking at 10 links to at least 9 of your competitors, right? Well, if they don't hear from you real quick, they're going to go right back there and end up on your competitor's site. You've got to call them in 5 or 10 minutes. Some businesses it'll be different, but this is the average. And what that says is that if you don't have some sort of automated process to get those leads into a salesperson's hand very quickly and make sure that they get followed up on, everything breaks apart because you're going to have the same salesperson trying to call this, or more than one salesperson trying to call the same lead, and confusion. And that really emphasizes the need to have some sort of lead management system. So lead nurturing, though, to me, is the most simple to understand and the most valuable in terms of dollars and cents step to take in terms of managing the leads after the conversion from your pay-per-click campaign. So we all have some sort of sales process. This is a graphic I took from some medical marketing site, so it's about a medical process, but the idea is you have different stages in your process. They convert on your website, they talk to a salesperson, they do a demo, and then they buy or whatever. And at every stage, some percentage don't go any further. They fall out of the pipeline, right? Well, being honest with yourself, what do you do with all these guys? I can tell you one thing, if you're leaving it up to your salespeople, then for the most part, nothing's happening with it, right? Because what are salespeople doing all day, every day? They're focused over here. They're trying to get these guys to write the check. They're not spending a lot of time going back to the people that they talked to once and calling them back a week later. You need an automated process that will just take all of these and put them into a little hopper and stay in touch with them and warm them up for your salespeople. And let your salespeople know, hey, Bob that you talked to that one time a month ago, guess what? He's engaged again. He just came back to the site. He just looked at one of your emails and watched a video or something like that. That all can be automated. And the good news is there's a huge payoff. So you're spending all this money and all this time on pay-per-click, right? I don't care if you're spending $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 a month getting people to your website. Putting in place a lead nurturing process will increase the sales to those leads by 10% easily. And I've seen it over and over and over again. So whatever you're selling, you're spending your $5,000 a month on pay-per-click, and let's say you're selling $10,000. Well, this is going to get you another $1,000 a month. So that's pretty important, right? That's a 20% increase on your ROI. So just to understand the numbers there, and this is kind of hard to do in a format like this, but just as an example, if you're currently getting 100 leads a month and you're closing business with 20 of those, that leaves 80 that are dead. You know, they're getting sort of, maybe they're going on your monthly email newsletter list or something like that, right? Well, after 6 months, that means you've accumulated 480 dead leads, right? Well, if you just put a very simple 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 email campaign in place to just stay in touch with those dead leads, and you get a 2% click rate, which is typical, then that means you're going to take of those 480 and re-engage with 9 or 10 of them. Well, guess what? That's a 10% increase at the top of your funnel, right? That's 10% increase in leads for your sales team. And that's only after 6 months. After 12 months, now we're talking about double the number in your hopper that are getting these emails, and so double the number into the top of your sales funnel that are getting re-engaged. A 20% increase. After 2 years, 40%. It just starts mushrooming, right? So doesn't matter what your numbers are, this same rate of return applies. The best news is it's really easy to do, but I want to emphasize how important it is one more time here. This is a study that was done by InsideSales.com, and what they found is that 50% of the leads that come in to your website are not ready to buy. They're still in learning mode. They're still in education mode. They're just looking for information. And so, being a typical aggressive sales organization, your sales team is on the horn with them trying to close a deal, and they're just not ready. A lot of times you might even kind of scare them off a little bit, right? So you need to have tools that will help them take those little baby steps to move themselves towards being ready to buy. They need to understand the answers to all the questions they have in their mind. They may not even want to talk to a salesperson until they get a little further down the road. You can also see here in the same study, they found what we all know intuitively. Unfortunately, we don't practice it very well. And that is that most sales are not made after 1 contact or 2 contacts. In fact, most of them are made after 5 contacts. And again, nothing against salespeople. I'm one. I love them. I've worked with them my whole career, but they're not good at contacting the same guy 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, right? So let's put some emails in there and help the salesperson stay engaged without the salesperson have to invest so much time. Doing this kind of lead nurturing for web leads in particular, pay-per-click leads and other online advertising, will increase results more like 25% or more, a lot better than in a typical sales funnel because of the need for that urgency. So this is just an example. The Better Business Bureau put in place a lead nurturing approach. And basically, they were beginning to spend a whole bunch of money driving traffic to the website to get people to fill out this relatively detailed form that they call the pre-app, a pre-application to the Better Business Bureau to become a member. What they were finding is that salespeople were treating those leads the same way they would treat a normal lead that they got through traditional channels. And so these web leads were not closing because they weren't getting the kind of treatment they were expecting. So all they did is put in place a 4 email campaign that went out over the course of, I think, about 2 weeks. and it increased sales to those web leads by 25%. And that happened in the course of about 2 months. So I want to talk a little bit about how you do that and show you that it's really not hard to do. Basically, in your lead nurturing system, you want to have these basic campaigns. You want to have a specific campaign for leads that come through your website. You probably want to have a little bit different campaign for leads that come through referrals or call-ins or something like that. You want to have a campaign that just kind of welcomes a new client, maybe offers them upsells and things like that. And then past clients. Maybe you're in a business that typically does a lot of repeat business, so a client that was ordering from you, but it's been 6 months and you haven't heard from them, you want some sort of campaign to get them re-engaged. It's 3 to 5 emails per campaign, and the best news is creating these emails really does not have to be rocket science. It can be kind of what I like to call an FAQ style email. You know, basically what you're going to do is you're going to write down the 5 or 10 questions that your customers or prospects ask your salespeople. You know, we all know what those are, right? Doesn't matter which customer you get on the phone with, they're going to ask the same 4 or 5 questions, right? Write those things down. And each question is the basis of an email. Your email is just the answer to that question. So think of it like this. Somebody searches for something in Google. They end up on your landing page. They fill it out and convert. And they don't want to talk to a salesperson. They just want to learn from your website. So you want to create these 4 or 5 emails that are going to answer all those questions that your salespeople typically would, but without forcing them to talk to a salesperson. What that does, it lets them get to their own point where they kind of go, you know what, I think I'm ready to do this. I want to talk to a salesperson. So these are a couple of simple examples. Are you spending money on expensive maintenance? If so, take a look at this recent article, 5 ways to reduce maintenance costs. Simple. And then you're pointing to an article on your blog or something like that. Or a video is better. If you have that, you get a lot better engagement rate, but you don't have to do it. A lot of times, the big deal is that you're trying. They're not getting these emails from your competitors, and so whatever happens in their world, the light goes on and they decide, all right, it's time for me to make this purchase decision. You get the call because you're the one that's been in their inbox. Quick tip on this, try salesscripter.com. It's a great tool for a lot of things, but it's going to give you scripts to use when you call your leads, questions to ask them to qualify them and kind of know where are they in that buying cycle, how to overcome objections. It's going to even write emails for you to send pre-call, post-call, and what to say in a voicemail. It'll also give you a content marketing outline, which really is a great outline of things to put in your lead nurturing emails. So, a couple of examples. These are emails that we've helped clients create that have worked very well in campaigns. Super simple. We're not talking about paying a copywriter hundreds of dollars to write this thing, right? You could write this for your business today. Here's another one with a video. Videos work great. People are going to click that a lot more frequently than they would just a link to an article or something like that. So, that's it. Want to make sure that everybody knows that you can register for the next webinar by just going back to salesgrowthhub.com/event, and you'll see the webinar for January 7th there, and you can register for that. Thanks to everybody for joining us today, and I want to be sure and thank everybody at Fair Marketing for letting us use this great facility, and hope everybody has great holidays, and we'll see you on January 7th.